Both came here today for the Kratom bill to schedule Kratom 1. You guys both Kratom consumers?
Yes, I am.
I am not. I'm an advocate for opioid use disorder and alternative treatments, treatment modalities. My son suffered opioid use disorder for a number of years and tried various types of treatment. And so I Face Addiction Maryland, we believe in science-based research that supports the consumer. And if you talk to a lot of consumers about what they're doing, there's a lot of consumers using Kratom. The American Kratom Association told us that there were about 180,000 Marylanders using Kratom, and a third of them use it for opioid replacement. That's 60,000 Marylanders. Science tells us that Kratom is a great harm reduction strategy for opioids, replaces opioids, so to ban that, what consumers know works and what science knows works, to ban it just couldn't happen.
A few outs, and
So I find it really interesting that you're actually able to do work. Are you doing any work with medical marijuana, or is it just Kratom? Or?
Oh, no. We've had we have tried the. We followed medical cannabis legislation, and the law is already in place where if you have tried an opioid and it hasn't worked, you can then go and use medical cannabis. The only problem is that none of the treatment providers in Maryland will allow patients to come in using medical cannabis. Now, they will allow drugs, opioids with stronger side effects like methadone and buprenorphine. They can go in, Suboxone can go into treatment, but if you have a medical cannabis card and you want to go into treatment, for heroin or prescription opioids or something, or anything, even if you are using medical cannabis for pain, you can't get into a treatment program or recovery residence or anything like that. So we have, our organization got bill sponsors 4 years running to add opioid use disorder to conditions treatable with medical cannabis, because right now the way the law exists is each person who's a medical cannabis patient would have to go advocate for themselves. They'd have to go tell the treatment provider, this is the law. I have a right to use medical cannabis in your program. Well, that's not gonna happen. Yeah. So you add opioid use disorder to conditions treatable with medical cannabis. The research does exist, and then you put a blanket statement out there to all the treatment providers. Hey, this can be used for this. The problem was that when we brought that up in the legislature for past years, the methadone lobby came and opposed it, said there wasn't enough research, said it wasn't FDA approved. Of course, it'll Kratom, medical cannabis, ibogaine will never be FDA approved because it's a plant and it costs billions of dollars a year for about 10 years to get something through FDA approval. Well, no one has that kind of money except the pharmaceutical industry. So, it's kind of like a catch-22. So the only solutions that we're ever going to have for opioid use disorder are the ones created by the pharmaceutical industry. They kind of got us into this problem, Yeah,
I was just reading all about the buprenorphine, the Suboxone, Reckitt and Benson, how they kind of manipulated the patent system to basically pull their own tablet off the market in place of these films and charge like double the price. It's turned into a real mess.
It is a big mess. There's, gosh, at least 250 states, municipalities, counties suing, these pharmaceutical companies. Purdue Pharmaceutical. Actually, I think that's an old figure, 250. I think there's over 1,000 lawsuits right now, and the thing is, we're winning. They did, false marketing, and the correlation between sales and opioids and opioid deaths is a well-known fact now. And so to turn to them and allow them to now create our only solution, which is highly profitable. As I said in testimony there, it's hard to get the figures, but the last time I really tried to get the figures, methadone clinics were paying $1 per the average methadone dose, and Medicaid was paying $80 a week.
I was going to say 30.
$80 a week per patient, and the average patient was spending 6 minutes in treatment per day at the methadone clinic. Now that's a really profitable market.
And then they have to go there every single morning, and if they don't get there in time, then they miss their dose. And I was on Suboxone maintenance, buprenorphine, and just go there, take a urine, and then meet with the doctor 15 minutes, pay him $200, and get my prescription. Right. There's a lot of problems with a lot of those, the people who are using methadone, a lot of them have the nickname liquid handcuffs. Yep. Can't go on vacation. If you miss your appointment, because a lot of these places are only open from 6 to 10. So, if you're there at 10:05, you're starting to have a panic attack, especially if it's on a Saturday and you don't get your Saturday dose or your take-home Sunday dose, then you're really panicking and having an anxiety attack and thinking about going into the hospital. I mean, we just need a lot of different tools in the toolbox, and to oppose,
start using all the tools.
Right, to oppose this would have just been devastating. We need to support alternative modalities. Opioid use disorder is a huge problem.
I will say this: what you got me thinking about is this. A lot of these pills today that are created, they're not created to solve a problem. They're created to make a profit for the manufacturer. If this pill were to solve the problem, well, you'd only need to take it a few times, right? Your problem would be solved, and they wouldn't be making any more money. And that's one of the things, and so something like Kratom, this is just a natural medicine. They cannot patent Kratom because it's a plant. And I don't know, it's a genuine healer. In fact, I had never heard of Kratom even just a few years ago. And really, to me, what Kratom seems like is the new marijuana. Think about marijuana for years. When I was a kid, there were all these. Marijuana was demonized, right? It will kill your brain cells. This will lead you to heroin use. Marijuana is, the devil, right? But now we know, well, that was all wrong. Because it was illegal for so long, it could not be properly studied. Decades went by without those simple studies and trials that could have shed light on the truth, right? So let's say the ban went through today. You ban Kratom. The same thing happens with Kratom. We can't further study it, okay? So I'll show you something that I discovered just yesterday. Kratom contains an anti-leukemic agent called isomitriptyline. Okay, this is just one single alkaloid in Kratom. It's called isomitriptyline, and I can show you how it's spelled. And it's been shown to be an anti-leukemic agent. What I didn't mention in my own speech today was that I haven't been sick, like with the common cold or anything else, for over 2 years, right? 2 years since I've been sick at all. And I started wondering last summer, like, wow, like, I haven't been sick in a while. I wonder what's going on. And I did a little research. I found, oh my gosh, I think it's the Kratom tea, because Kratom tea has alkaloids inside it that stimulate and boost your immune system. And in fact, I can name them for you and show you.
I think one of the big things is too with the Suboxone, methadone, is that when we block those receptors, at least I noticed this, blocking those receptors, it killed my emotions, killed my happiness, and Kratom is able to give you that mood boost to at least be able to get you to the level to be able to get stuff done.
To me, I think
those are, I mean, I have a lot of research, and we've done the research on all the different modalities, including Suboxone, buprenorphine, methadone, and there are a lot of side effects that we don't talk about. And what we should have is a whole array of options where people tell you the risks and benefits. You know, one of the methadone is still a killer, even when used in opioid use disorder treatment.
Mention what you were saying.
And you know, there are about 30 studies that show that depending on the study, the place where it's done, between 20 to 70% of people in methadone clinics are walking in and using other drugs, which means they're going in. Consumers tell us that they go into methadone clinics and get their morning drug of choice, free opioid, and are buying boosters in the methadone line, clonidines, benzos, heroin, and boosting up by lunchtime or whatever. And so for them, methadone is not a harm reduction strategy. Now, that's, a problem.
Yeah, basically, some people are using it to get high for its drug effect, while other people are using it for harm reduction. And and they've completely turned their lives around.
Right. If you've got 20 to 70%,
some people are using it to get high. Some people have completely turned their lives around. It saved their lives. But that whole spectrum exists. And what she was saying is that that's not acknowledged. It's not acknowledged that about 30% of people are using methadone because they like the feeling, they want to be high. Whereas some people are trying to recover from a serious addiction, and they're using it for more or less like a good reason, as a replacement, and to get off something much worse. And but both happen. Both are happening, and it's not really acknowledged. And what she's saying is we can't even get to the point where we can have a talk about this spectrum, and that people are using it for different reasons.
So yeah, if you've got 20 to 70% who are using it as a free way to get high, you have 30 to 80% using it as a harm reduction strategy and tapering down or maintaining. And so what we don't talk about are those two different groups that are in the methadone clinics. And that's what, I think we have to start talking about that. The harm reductionist point to anybody who says, they point to the abstinence-based camp, they're called. Well, some of those people have used methadone as their drug of choice to get high, and so it kind of invalidates them. People need to start saying, I use methadone to get high, or I use methadone as a harm reduction strategy. Both of their lived experiences are true, and they're right, and we have to stop invalidating people by saying, oh no, you're discriminating against people who use methadone. Well, they're not discriminating against their own lived experience or their best friend who shared with them their lived experience. So we have to trust the consumers' lived experience more. And, Ibogaine was something else I wanted to touch on. Delegate Beitzel introduced that bill 2 years in a row.
Tell me about this Ibogaine bill.
Another Ibogaine is legal in Mexico, Canada, all over the Caribbean, Europe. People are sending their kids to Mexico and the Caribbean.
We're actually thinking about going down to I think it was Bahamas or Bermuda. That there was someone doing Ibogaine down there, or ayahuasca, one or the other. We're really looking into it. It's supposed to rewire the whole brain.
Right. And what you do is you go on a 3-day hallucinogenic experience, and after that, you do not have any more cravings or, withdrawal symptoms. And depending on studies, they're either showing a 25 to 60% success rate, depending on, again, the population, the study, whatever. But that's certainly significant.
So there's a bill here in Maryland to do that?
There was 2 years in a row. It didn't pass. Once again, the methadone lobbyists came down and opposed it, said that
they're invested. They don't want a permanent solution because it would cut into their profits.
I didn't say that.
Well.
But at any rate, they opposed it and said there was no FDA approval and said there wasn't enough research. They also said that there were
fixed, when someone heals themselves, a permanent fix hurts the manufacturers, hurts these people and their businesses, and they are deadly invested to keep the money rolling in. That's what's really going on.
What else the methadone lobby said in the opposition for the Ibogaine bill was that it was related to death. And I think there were maybe 20 deaths worldwide, and of course methadone is associated with one of the, I think it is the highest prescription opioid with the highest death rate.
Well, looking up when I was doing research on methadone and Suboxone deaths, not too many agencies are reporting deaths or overdoses that say it was caused or had methadone or Suboxone in the system, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, that's another problem.
So
the whole thing's interesting, and it just leads to the fact that we need alternative solutions. We need training that the alternative solutions are out there. We need to support every tool in this toolbox. And when we talk about medicated assisted treatment, we need to not just talk about methadone, buprenorphine, and Vivitrol. We need to all be including medical cannabis, Ibogaine, Kratom, and any other alternative solution that has proven, evidence-based, science-based research to support it.
I like it. It's been a long day, so I won't keep you guys for too long. But I just want to get either of your takes on what would happen, how would your lives be affected, or the people around you, if they were to schedule Kratom?
Schedule 1?
Well, I think some of the testimony that came up in the hearing is that it would create a huge black market. It might drive up prices. It would be adulterated. We're trying to get another bill to support the 4 states have already have the Kratom Consumer Protection Act enacted in their states. Maryland would like to be the 5th, or we would like Maryland to be the 5th. We'd like to find a sponsor to introduce that this session.
Do you think Kerr's going to do that?
I don't know about that, but I think perhaps some of us, maybe someone else on this committee would.
Mm-hmm. How about for you? How would your life change if Kratom was Schedule 1?
Well, I'd like to. Okay, I can speak for myself. I'd also like to speak in general because I think I've been thinking about that since you asked the question a minute ago. I think this is what would really happen. You know, I use Kratom. A lot of people, they use Kratom maybe for anxiety, for depression, for pain management, right? For the energy boost. So let's say you take it away. It's just not available. I think a lot of people would relapse on, on alcohol, on other drugs that they used to do. The thing, like, why Kratom really helps me is because it relieves the symptoms that that in the past made me want to change my state of mind. I just didn't want to feel the way I felt. I didn't want to be in pain. I didn't want to be in agony, right? But when those symptoms are relieved, and it's like it's coming back to yourself, you're just you. Your anxiety is gone. Your depression is gone. So you take away Kratom, you don't give people that tool to just help themselves just to feel normal. What's going to happen is people are going to relapse on harder stuff, on the killer drugs. That's exactly what's going to happen. And like I said, I haven't been drunk in years. But if I was like in a world without Kratom, like would I never pick up alcohol again? I probably would, because I wouldn't want to feel, shitty. I mean, and what do you do when you have like a panic attack? What do you do when the really bad depression and anxiety hits? And that's the thing, like, and when we think about it, it's like, do they actually want us to be like, to be suffering and to not heal? Because this clearly is a tool, and people are not dying from Kratom. It's really not ruining people's lives.
We've been lied to for a while about different plants and herbs and even nutrition.
And this almost, if let's say absolutely nothing about Kratom tea, and you say, okay, what's Kratom? And you take out your phone and you look it up on the internet. You're going to be flooded with anti-Kratom propaganda. They will have you, if let's say you know nothing, you don't know what Kratom is, you've never seen it before, they will have you convinced that Kratom is sitting right up there next to heroin. Okay,
13 times stronger than heroin?
Yeah, that it's this devilish drug. Like, oh my gosh, it's just as bad as fentanyl. Let's get it off the streets right away. And it couldn't be further from the truth. And I think another big part of this is that a lot of these, drug and pharmaceutical companies, they want to monopolize their control of products related to a person's health, right? The real reason they want to make Kratom illegal is because a lot of people like me have found Kratom, and then what we do, we throw our medications in the trash can, and they're feeling that. They're feeling that loss of profit. That's why all this is happening, okay? They're feeling that loss. Millions of people are saying, screw these pills. They don't work. They give me these terrible side effects anyways. I just found a plant that works better for me. It's cheaper. It's safer. And it's like it's a complete win. But these pharmaceutical companies, they're losing money, and they're mad. They're losing profits. Understand this. They don't create those bills to help people like us. They create those bills to make a profit. That is the purpose of that pill, not to help you, to make a profit. And once you understand that, it all makes sense.
So I won't keep you guys much longer. Thank you for that. Where can people find you and your coalition?
Right now, I formed Heroin Action Coalition in 2010. I have a Facebook site. My email is heroinactioncoalition@gmail.com. Our Face Addiction website, which will faceaddictionmd.org, which will have all of the risks and benefits for every single solution for opioid dependence. We'll have all the information on Kratom, Ibogaine, medical cannabis, methadone, buprenorphine, Vivitrol, community connection, based on Rat Park study, research on family involvement, craft versus Al-Anon, Nar-Anon, hypnotherapy, there's research on that, high success there with science-based evidence, mindfulness, but we will have all of the research on that website. Again, faceaddictionmd.org, and it will be launched hopefully within the next couple weeks.
Okay. Give yourself a date and put it up, and then I had to do this. I put my site up and then just change it later. You can always change it.
And I just want to say this woman is absolutely amazing.
It's
incredible the work that she does for the community, and she is genuinely trying to help people heal. And she, I mean, she's a living saint right here. I'm
The
serious.
site's actually up and live now, and you can find all of that that information under the treatment drop-down tab. The only thing is, if you go to the treatment locator, the peer support tab, some of the icons aren't there, and some of the tables have dropped off. We would love anybody with IT expertise to volunteer to help us. That's in WordPress, and we need all the help we can get. This has been a long road to get this launched, a good 3 years, but it is live.
Awesome.
Let me be one of the first to say congratulations for all that work, and I hope you see the rewards and benefits.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's.
And we'll keep in touch. I built my site on WordPress, so I can help you.
There you have it, folks. We've got our IT guy.
She's incredible. She really is.
All right. Thank you both so much.